man, how's it going? What happens after Sword Route Act 3? A list of facts preceding a theory undeniable by people who agree with me. Hashtag egomaniac. Hashtag narcissism. Preamble. After both Boy G and Half-Bred Chaos made videos where exactly what happens would be incredibly relevant to discussion, and then don't bring up exactly what happens twice, less than 2 weeks apart, it became really obvious it's because nobody knows about an exact variation of the scene after you get the Shadow Mantle that kind of breaks the whole mystery wide open. So I'm making a PowerPoint really quickly to try and finally make the information public. I replayed all of Chapter 3 for this, and yes, I did get T rank first try on both boards. Thank you for asking. By the way, these are both really good videos, and nothing I show here even contradicts the important parts of Boy G's video. You should go watch him. I will reveal the absolute truth of the event to prove the following. 1. Hero Sword is not sentient, independent, nor relevant after the moment Susie gives you the flat soda. 2. Ram being the true identity of the Shadow Mantle holder is likely a red herring. 3. That there are only 2 or 3 possible faces for the Shadow Mantle holder. I also call the Shadow Mantle holder Eram for the rest of the video. I mean, if you don't like it, I guess you can kill me about it if you really get angry, but by that point the video's already up. What's that even going to accomplish? I fully acknowledge that's not the canon name, it's just easy and quick to say. Really, you've just lost out on a chance to meaningfully kill someone, and that's all you're going to get to feel about this video. As you can see on this map, there are various guys at various locations. At the bottom we have the gamers. Susie and Rousey are gaming. The path to this is only open until the consoles turn off. To the right we have the Rabbick, who is chill, and remains chill until the sword route is all the way over. In the vending machine, we have the Sniler. I don't technically know if this is just a smiling friendling, or the main tail of hell, or Mike, or what. So for this presentation, I'll be referring to it as the Sniler. Manhole is mentioned, so nobody brings it up, but it's not relevant and never opens. This can all be proved by looking at the screen hard enough. Now, as we can see, Ram is dying badly. I already stated earlier that Ram as Eram is a red herring, but I'll go into this more later. For now, just go with me. He's there until he isn't. He's dying. Eram is in-game. And what I mean by that is that they're literally hiding in the game console itself the entire time, until after the sword route ends. The only other possible explanation is that someone or something is like wave dashing to and away from the controllers, one room over at oddly specific intervals, all the way back in Sword Board 1. Moving on to after you get the Shadow Mantle and turn off all the game consoles. Starting at the top this time, we have Chris finishing the game and getting the Shadow Mantle. Afterwards, Susie walks in and gives you the flat soda and then leaves. Ram is now missing. Eram is off doing whatever work it is that they need to do. The manhole is still irrelevant. The Sniler is no longer in the vending machine. This leads everyone, including myself, to believe that the smiling friend image thing was at least in some way hiding in the vending machine for some reason. Whether this is just one of the spawn or something bigger is unknowable at this point in time. The path to Ram's shop is closed, but I think that's mostly just so you can't see Susie and Rousey gaming on the left couch anymore. The Rabbick is scared after seeing something happen to Ram, and also mentioned seeing a Chris that has already gone past. This confirms the existence of a doppelganger. Down at the bottom, Susie meets us as we leave the S-rank room, and then Rousey, who is so entirely distracted they don't even realize we're in the room, gets up to greet us. Those of you using your various holes to do other things may be wondering why I skipped mentioning the mini-Chris. Where did it go? And what is it doing? Isn't that the doppelganger? To that I say, I'm sorry, but please watch this clip. As we can see, Mini Chris leaves through the bottom, which does not position them into any known room. Then Mini Chris comes up from the bottom again, meaning it did not enter another room. This is the real final nail in the coffin, though, saying no to Susie. With that, the character's death is witnessed on screen, and without them ever actually leaving this room. My first bullet point is proven to what I believe to be an undoubtable degree. Hero Sword is not a character that needs to be considered. So where does that leave us? Well, if you're just looking for raw information, the only thing I haven't mentioned about this scene is that Ram actually goes missing as soon as Chris enters the dungeon for Act 3. Yeah, only the room with Ram in it updates when you get into the dungeon. Rabbick is still chill, the Sniler is still in the vending machine, everything else is the same. I'll go over this more later. If you're just here for the straight facts, then you can move on to your own theory crafting, but I'm going to continue by explaining why I think Hero Sword can move on their own despite not being a character, what makes Ram a red herring, and who I believe the doppelganger to be. It's because the Red Soul is also its own character. We don't have time for this. You can't make me go over this right now. You can't. That's a whole different theory to go over. We don't have time for this right now. You just have to believe me. It explains it. It's everything. There's no inconsistencies, I swear. If you think this ruins the man and ever think about it harder, something actually improves it. I don't have time for this. It's doing a different theory in this video. Andrew Cunningham is catching a stray here because he's who the narrative video has been driving me insane since the day came, because the Red Soul is obviously the narrator. Maybe he spent less time making his videos well edited, well scored, well commentated, properly audio, and viscerally entertaining. He could have spent more time being right. I don't have time for this right now, but isn't it weird how the check for Jevil says there is no strategy, and then both of the acts in the fight say Chris instead of you? Almost as if there's a separation between Chris and the narrator since literally 2018. A Weird Route Spam to Neo is a notable exception, unless you didn't notice this like 8 years ago. Light World narration has the same rules as Undertale, by the way. We don't have time for that right now. I don't have time for this right now, but if you must disagree, please refer to the last bullet point before posting your comment about it. Or maybe like Eram is controlling the video game character when we're not, right? That could also be it, but with our soul in it, I think this is it. Moving on to Red Herring Ram, slide number 10. I lie! Ram isn't even a good red herring! Rage me! Controversy! Go check out Deltarune Soul Blazers by Brix Braxium! Okay, so he's an okay red herring. It just falls apart really quickly once you try and pick it apart. Like when Ram goes missing, only after getting into the dungeon, it really makes it feel like he's the Shadow Mantle holder, but it falls apart really quickly. Like Ram thinks this whole adventure is just Chris wanting to have fun, and then at the last minute, when he starts dying badly, he's like, okay, if you didn't do it for fun, why'd you do it? Like, to pivot from that to, that's right, Chris, I, the normal power strip behind your TV in the corner, also know about the weird route in the library computer lab. It requires believing that Ram is Eram to have a reason to lie, which just means ignoring counter evidence. And as we can clearly see on the right, Ram is quitting keeping Toriel asleep, which doesn't make sense for Eram because that's also sabotaging the plan he would know Tenna is in on if he was an evil, all-knowing mantle wielder. Like, I feel like the only reason why people really think this is because people misidentified Ram as having the traits of a secret boss instead of a mysterious shopkeeper like Sham, which, to be fair, is because Spampton and the old man are pulling double duty. Also, if Eram isn't literally hiding inside of the video game, then that would mean someone is wave dashing to play the game one room over and then leaving really quickly as soon as we die, and no one mentions or hints at it at all. I know Ram has movement, but I just don't see him wave dashing to the controllers and then back, like Rules Card as the lamp in Chapter 4 moving between rooms without anything or anyone talking about it. Also, they're doing this in Board 1, where all they do is hide in a secret room most players miss. That's really boring if you're not literally hiding inside of the game. With that, I believe I have given good reasoning on why nobody should ever believe that Ram is Eram, and I'm now going to move on to Eram's faces, the third and final bullet point. Before that, I think it's worth noting that yes, the B in Ram is missing, is just the O in Mario stacked on top of itself with a little line drawn to the left. Also that there are only two questions that left unaccounted for. Who passively looks like Chris to a Rabbick, and who got Ram? I think Ram is easier to explain, so let's go with that one. The Sniler got Ram. I think that the Sniler, being a self-replicating shadow creature and separate character from Eram, set a clone to grab Ram. I'm just going to circle this. Puppet and cat, almost as if the cat is also a puppet. Maybe that's why they're the same element. And also, you can never defeat us. Us. Ram is right in line to see Eram after they leave the game. And if the screen is on, Ram might just be seeing what, they're doing in the game the whole time. To stop any of that information from getting to Chris, including what Eram looks like without the Shadow Mantle on, friends slurped him up. or something. Like a Kingdom Hearts cutscene where somebody gets sucked up by shadow darkness into the floor. I don't think they could really kill Ram or whatever happens to him because he's literally the power strip, so it would mean the game would turn off before Eram wants it to. Originally, I thought the Rabbick saw a shadow move into the back room and followed it to witness Ram being sucked into the floor or whatever. That's what this is. These arrows. But given that the text doesn't update, unless it is an oversight to not update the changing room because Toby couldn't think of any text to interrupt the Rabbick besides mentioning the doppelganger that hasn't passed yet, I don't think that happened. It just means I don't have a reason that the Rabbick went back there other than aimless wandering, which doesn't change anything other than vagifying the exact location and timing that something other than disappearing happened to Ram. Also, Friend could have come out of the video game instead of out of the vending machine, but like none of these details change anything other than the exact through line of action of what happened here. We still know when it happened, we still know what parties could have done. The exact situation, like, for me, is still the exact, like, this is definitely still, like, in the theory zone for now, the exactly what happens here, but I don't know a more compelling explanation for why Ram even got disappeared than potentially revealing Eram's identity. This is something I'm happy to discuss and figure out more with other people. If you guys have better ideas, despite my literal 100% confidence that I have figured this all out already. Next is the doppelganger. Eram is the doppelganger, but I'm not telling you who. It's really obvious that Eram is the doppelganger because that's all that's left I've been building up to this whole time. So instead, I'm going to explain what I meant by Eram hiding in the game, because that's important. I don't think it's a question on if Eram can. After all, they can both let Mini Chris out and real Chris into the game, not to mention connecting Chris to their video game version to deal real damage during the boss fight. There's no reason to believe they can't also enter the game and become a video game character to fight us, as it seems they have absolute control over the whole dimension hopping scenario. So, but like, why would you hide in the video game? I think it's because they're in the original console that seems to connect to all of the other consoles for Tenna's boards. It would give them eyes over the whole Dark World at the same time without most people even knowing they're being watched. Thus, it gives them ample reason to be there besides just S-rank, spooky, creepy, shadow crystal, dimensional hopping, I know you love murder stuff. It fits the MO of someone who's been keeping track of Chris for 2 Dark Worlds now pretty perfectly. This matters because of Big Mantle. I don't know or care if King's Mantle is literally the Shadow Mantle. I just care it's huge. Huge enough to cover one entire Chris. Since Eram is Chris's doppelganger, they could wear the mantle like a level 0 Halloween ghost costume, completely hiding their identity. You'd think the mantle would be too big for us then, but since we get it in the video game, we're actually getting the Bit Crushed version, which is what allows us to equip it like normal armor on anyone in the party, even if Noelle thinks it's still a little too big. Which, let's be honest, it's just her giving a polite excuse because she doesn't want to wear it, and so we, the player, can't potentially lose an extremely valuable piece of equipment. This also means that if Eram was only projecting their character into the game, that they might still have the real Shadow Mantle next time we see them. So yes, you can keep drawing them in the big spooky cape and declare it your predicted canon appearance opinion. Okay, now that we've talked about everything Eram does in the game, let's talk about Eram out of the game. Eram is the doppelganger, but why would you go that way? It's literally just the fastest way to leave, and it's not like Rousey was paying attention. Didn't even notice Chris walked back into the room last time. Someone trying to be quieter than Susie could have snuck right out. With Susie in the room with Chris, Eram has plenty of time to just slip out. The Sniler, being a shadow beast, could have easily just hid in Eram's pocket or whatever. Like maybe it turns into an item, like in the same way Spamton does. You know, to slip on out. Literally just, I'm leaving with my friend. Haha. Okay. Actually talking about it this time. Eram is the doppelganger. What does that actually mean? It means Eram is either Mike or just looks like Chris. Yes, I am going to be taking the Mike room seriously. You know, the room with the freedom motif and image friend in it? Like, it wasn't a joke. It was just a really funny way to give us terrifying information. Like nearly confirming a cowboy character in a future chapter. Or that whole line about taking the chosen ones to the Ark. Based on what Tenna says in the Temptation of Michael video, we can conclude that Mike really was a business partner for Tenna. For the various fake Mikes to pass off as Mike, we can also surmise that he really was a shapeshifter that put on different forms based on his mood. Also, the black and red color scheme is at least what he wore most of the time. If you're a die-hard friend is Eram theorist, this is probably what you're going to leave this video believing. But this also raises a bigger question. If Eram is orange and Mike is red, how did either of them pass as Chris, the blue person? Rabbits are partially colorblind. I got this off one Google search like 2 weeks after Chapter 3 came out, so if it's not true, this coincidence would be insane. But if you look it up, rabbits can't see reds. Instead, they'll see those colors as blues. This, I believe, is why Toby Fox chose to bring back a Rabbick for just this chapter, and for the only one to just so happen to be the one to spot the doppelganger, because they're the only character in the whole game that wouldn't be able to tell that Eram isn't blue. You'll notice I also picked a rather orange-looking rabbit that becomes a cyan blue. This is because I do not think Eram is Mike. No, I just don't think so. Red is not orange. But it could be under different lighting, which could be the point. So that leaves us with two possibilities left to discuss. That the Eram is just a darkener that looks like that, or that Eram hijacked the vessel. On the left, Eram is just a really important or powerful darkener, kind of like Rousey. This could mean Eram is the headband. Because come on, we have the headband door. Or Eram could be Chris's reflection, like Shadow Link from Ocarina of Time, which would tie into their name looking like Nightmare backwards on top of its Latin meaning, some other third thing. None of the elements here are exclusive to each other, right? If Eram is a darkener related to Chris, all of these always apply. On the right, Eram hijacked the vessel, which would be really cool. I don't know much about this theory. It would explain how they get to different Dark Worlds, but I have a feeling they can just traverse between them in a similar manner to Rousey, where it's never explained at all. Somebody's going to know more about it than me. Really, there's very little to say for either of these, because they don't really explain why Eram has special powers, unless you do something like assume the headband fell off or Des disappeared, or that the vessel is just cool like that. But to finalize, I fully believe that Eram is a Chris lookalike, and they are a darkener with important ties to Chris's past. This means we'll likely run into them again in the future, because you don't set up a doppelganger for your playable character and then never use it again. Chapter 6, random guess. If they're the vessel, it's definitely Chapter 6. But with that, that's the end of the video. There isn't like a huge ending, I just need to get this information out there and what I think it'll mean. Thank you for watching. Please, for the love of God, if you or someone you know is making a video about Eram or Ram or the sword route, make sure they know everything in this video before making a 30-minute to an hour video. I've known this for like a year. I just figured people would find it out even if I never talked about it. But that doesn't happen. I have to tell people. Anyways, so frequent Discord user number like 37. Send this to Half-Bred Chaos and Cammy Boy G, because if I send it to him, it's like really rude. But if you've vetted this video and then you think they still should know about it, yeah. Legally speaking, this is a joke. You don't even share this video with your grandma. As an aside about my previous theory about how Maddie, the ghost inside of Mad Mew Mew and Mad Dummy, was the one to draw the Spampton Neo body. It was actually really funny how everyone who disagreed with me also gave me more details to further my theory. Literally, every time. It was, I disagree for this reason, but also you forgot about this details that you forgot to bring up for this one. But also now I don't even think it's true anymore. Like, yeah, Spampton has a lot of traits of both Mettaton and Mad Mew Mew. But it was hinging entirely on Mettaton wanting to be a star already. But now that we know he hasn't watched TV until Chapter 4, that whole thing falls apart. But now I have a new theory, because Big Shot still has the Mad Dummy version of the ghost fight motif in it exactly 3 times. It is now officially the body dysphoria version of the motif. Because think about it. Neither Mad Dummy nor Spampton Neo are actually getting what they want out of that body. Or something. I don't know. I'm not going to make an actual follow-up video to it. I hope all 300 of my true fans just decide to watch this one. Anyways, don't check out my guide on catching up on Deltarune. It doesn't have videos on perfect save files anymore because I had to take them out. And now I have to make those myself, and video making is hard, which is why this is a PowerPoint presentation. Anyways, good night, everyone. Thank you for learning with me and listening to me be insane. I'll see you, probably like around chapter 6 with how fast I make these.